Okay. My screen is visible, right?
Yes.
Okay. So today we will see Elastic Beanstalk and AWS CLI. So was last time we saw a CLI or not? Command interface, how to access AWS services or manage through the CLI.
Yes, yes, we saw that.
Okay.
To connect EC2 instance, right?
No, no, we can manage create a S3 bucket or EC2 instance start and stop through the AWS CLI. First we need to install the package, right?
Yeah,
AWS.
CLI package.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we will see Elastic Beanstalk, and then we will discuss about your GD, which you have shared. So I have collected some real-time troubleshooting point basically for now, but there might be a different other troubleshooting as well. But whatever remember, I just collected it. So Elastic Beanstalk is basically a platform as a service which is managed by the AWS. So for the underlying servers, we don't need to take care about the similar to EC2, right? When we create normal EC2 instance, it might be Windows based or Linux based. We as a customer, we need to manage the entire thing, like rebooting the servers, patching the servers, like yum update or apt get update something. So we are responsible for that to manage. But in the Elastic Beanstalk side is a it's on a platform as a service, so we can just simply we don't need to install any uh, package basically by using any Linux commands. There is a graphical interface where you can just simply create the Beanstalk server. In the backend it will create basically EC2 servers, but as a end user, as a developer, we just need to create runtime here similar to Lambda functions, and then we can just whatever we have applications, we can just simply deploy it by using this. Either we can go with the CI/CD pipeline Jenkins kind of, or we can deploy through console as well. Okay. So for this platform there is no additional cost basically to use Beanstalk service, but inside the Beanstalk service whatever resources we are using, like EC2 instance, load balancer, S3 bucket, RDS database service, so they got charged basically. But for this platform, Beanstalk platform, we will not get any additional charges. Just give me 2 minutes. I will shift my room basically. The kids are here. Okay. Am I audible now? Hello, Bhagwan.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So as a end user, basically, we don't need to take care about don't worry about the creating the EC2 instance, installing the packages, basically whatever the requirement. Like let's say we require LAMP server, Linux Apache, then we don't need to use a Linux command over there. Or if we need a Node.js based application, then we don't need to install Node.js or something. So it will basically managed by the AWS itself. We just need to create the instance here by using this platform, and we can just simply deploy our applications. So pricing wise, there is no additional cost. Just as I explained, it will charge just based on whatever the resources we are using, like S3 bucket, Lambda, RDS, or EC2 instance, or load balancer, basically. Okay. So the let's see the creation process basically. Let me go to back. AWS changed lots of options basically. So I use this Beanstalk in earlier project, not the current one. So we can just simply create the applications. Basically, you can give the application name like demo plastic Beanstalk app, and then description. You can keep anything. Just click on create. and now we can create the environment basically. So we can select the web server, basically we required web server. And let's see the other options. We can keep this default name. If you want any additional domain name, you can just add the domain name whatever you required. So let me paste same thing. So create basically a domain name for the Beanstalk, not for the Route 53. Okay, which is available. And platform. In platform, you can just select similar to Lambda functions, right? We have different runtime there. If your applications are based on the Docker or Go, Java, Node.js, PHP, it's a depend on that application platform. Basically, you can just choose that. So for now, I will just go with the Node.js. If you have in the real time in your project, you are using this platform. So if you have any other stuffs like .NET based applications on Windows, or any PHP, Python, Ruby, something Tomcat based, so you can select according to that use cases. Okay. So for now, I will just go with the Node.js, and you can select the Node.js version here. Okay. I will keep the default one. Okay. Then as of now, I don't have any sample code, uh, any customized code. So I will just go with the sample application, which is default.
This one, which one? Which one? Lambda or RDS?
Which one? No, no, this is not a
You're talking.
Lambda basically. I just explain about the similar to Lambda. When we create the Lambda functions, it asks like runtime basically. It asks which runtime you want to select. So same thing. This is not same as the Lambda function. This is a different thing. It's a similar to EC2 instance, but you don't need to create separate EC2 instance. AWS provide this platform basically, Elastic Beanstalk. From there, you can manage or create a load balancer, RDS by RDS, your EC2 servers, and you don't need to install any packages basically, like these packages. It will automatically taken care by backend AWS side automatically. Normally, when we create any normal EC2 instance, right? So we need to install apt-get command. Then suppose I'm just selecting Node.js or PHP, so we need to manually install, right, that version 5.6 or 7 something, whatever we required. But in this platform, Beanstalk platform, we don't need to install these packages. It will automatically deployed basically, as it's a managed service from the AWS side. Is it clear? By using this platform, basically you can just club your all the services. Normally, if let's say I want to create a EC2 servers, then I need to go to EC2 servers and launch it. Okay. If I need RDS service, then I need to go to RDS service and launch it. If I need S3 bucket or any other services like load balancer, so I need to go separately and launch it. But in Beanstalk cases, you don't need to go anywhere. It will all the environments you can create from here, single platform basically. And another one is benefit like is you don't need to install any packages on the your yeah, on your EC2 machine. Just select the whatever the package you need. It will automatically done by backend side basically. We don't need to take care about that. We just need to upload our whatever the yeah, application code basically. If you have a Node.js based application code, then you can just upload. Just select these options, upload your code, application code basically, your front end code. Okay. And you can just select local file if you have a local, or if you have that code available in any S3 bucket, so you can just give the S3 bucket location here. So as of now, I don't have any application code basically, so I will go with the sample application, which is the default sample page basically. I will go with the single instance only. Okay, it will automatically select the earlier we have created the I have created the role basically. And if you need is a key pair basically to log into your EC2 machine, then you can just select the key pair here. Okay. because ultimately it creates one EC2 servers from the backend side. Okay, so we can just select that key pair. So in time, in case of any issues, we can just use this key pair to log in that EC2 instance basically, and just click next. Here VPC we need to select, as we normally go with the end this one. Okay, 192.168. If you need public IP, then you can just select this options, public activated, and instance subnet you can go with which where you need to select create basically. Here is the database option. So as of now we don't require any databases because we don't have such kind of databases in the environment. So we can just go with the simple one, EC2 instance basically, and just click next. If you need any additional volume, like general purpose, if you need additional volume, then you can just select whatever the requirement basically, 30 GB or 20 GB something. So just for now I'm just going with the default one, 8 GB. It's required minimum 10. Okay, I hope it will take automatically. Monitoring and period 1 minute for CloudWatch. Okay, I will just go with the default one. Security groups you need to select, like we have test security group. If you need auto scaling, normally in the traditional different older way, like we if we select the EC2 instance, there is a option comes, right, auto scaling kind of, to automatically scale or up or down. So in this platform it will automatically ask here, you need auto scaling or not. Okay, so as of now I don't need any auto scaling, so I will just go with the default one. Okay, instance type what you need, you can just select that and just click next. Monitoring I don't require enhance because it will charge basically, so I will go with the basic one. I don't need any updates, it will automatically patch basically, so I can just disable for now. If you need any email notification, so you can just add here for the environment creation or deletion something, for the Beanstalk basically, not the server. Rolling updates deployment strategy you can just select here. Rolling updates application deployment means now you are creating the resources first time, right? And if you integrated with your pipeline for the application deployment, because in the real time we don't do the manual deployment, right, for the any deployment strategy. So there might be you use Jenkins or something. So how you can do the deployments like all at once, or you can just give the percentage or fix kind of way, you can just guess. So I will just go with the default one. Let's reduce it 80 seconds. I can go with the default one. I don't need any additional details basically. Just click next. There are lots of other options actually. You can just if you just play around like as a POC, so you might get the details about that. But for now, I'm just going with the whatever the required things. So it will give the review page here. So before launching, you can just review, or if you need any modification, you can just simply click on this edit button and you can just modify. If you have made any mistakes for the value selection, scaling we don't require. So let me disable it. Okay, this is for the boot volume. Okay. Okay. So after review, you can just go and submit. It will take a little bit time to launch the EC2 instance basically from the backend side. So if you just go to this EC2 instance tab, service in new tab, I'm audible.
Yes, just now.
Sorry, I was talking on mute actually. So, so where we have dropped, on what point my voice is cut down basically during the configuration review process.
Yes, right.
Okay, the process is similar to launching the EC2 instance basically. We need to give the environment name, like we have give this name, right? Demo elastic beanstalk app. Okay, and then we can just select the normal process as you have seen in the screen, VPC subnets and the other stuffs. We don't need any database or load balancer for now, so I have not selected that. But if you need that, you can just select. There will be option that, and you can just simply review and just click subnet, so it will create this environment. And also it will create from the backend side one more EC2 instance, right? This one.
Okay.
Yeah, so it will give automatically public IP address, private IP address, which we have selected the VPC basically. And we have selected key pair, right? So we can just find out here. There is key pair. Yeah, you can see key pair assigned. Okay, so it's the same process as no we launch EC2 instance. But the thing, the other benefit is like, you don't need to manually run the command after the creation, like install packages or something. So it will automatically taken care by, as it's a platform as a service, so we don't need to take care. So AWS will take care from the backend side whatever we have platform selected basically. The status is green, means everything is properly deployed and stable. Okay, so it will give one URL here, right? You can see under the domain name. If I just click on that URL, it will open in the new tab, and it will this is for the sample applications. as we have selected during the launch of the time. Okay, if you have any applications code basically, so there is an option to deploy basically. Let me go to that option. This is the sample application URL, and you can use this application URL to configure the DNS entry in the Route 53. If you just open the Route 53 service, just right click in the new tab. Okay, just go to the hosted zone. So let's say suppose we have this domain, right, or AWS Guruji. So you can just enter that, and you can create a new record basically. Whatever the subnets you have, just add that, like let's say paste app, and you can add the CNAME entry here and paste the DNS endpoint which we have got it, this one, right? Because we can't use this domain name, right, because it's for the elastic beanstalk. As a technical we can use, but as a business point of view there will be a the different domain name, right? Let's say sybase.com or something, or any google.com something, right? The it's according to project to project. So you can use that domain. Let's say we have aws so I'm just adding one more subnets test app, and just I'm just pasting this DNS record here. Just so get the TTL basically keep minimum one. This is just a propagation time basically through the global network. So within a 6 seconds it should replicate basically. We can check the status as well here. It should be in sync here after around 60 seconds. So for now if you just hit this click this domain name, or just add in the URL, so it will open sample application. So for if we map in the DNS endpoint here, okay, so we don't need to use that elastic beanstalk domain name. So we can just simply use this one which we have configured, and just search here record. We have configured this one, right? Test hyphen app. So if you can just copy it and enter in the your browser. Yeah, so this way you can just use the domain name basically. And let's say you have created this environment. Now this is just for the sample application, but if you have any bundle for your actual application code, and you want to deploy it manually, okay, so here in the environment you will find this option, right, upload and deploy. So just click on that, and you can upload whatever you have bundle. It will support file must be less than 500 MB. So you can it will support up to 500 MB for the manual deployment. So you can just select that whatever you have project bundle application code basically, and you can just select and just deploy it. So it will automatically it will start the deployment basically. And once properly deployed, so it will see the status green like this way. And you can your application will be, your changes will be reflected on the endpoint URL which we configured for the DNS entry. In the health or monitoring, we can just monitor of the this EC2 instance log basically. You can see the health environment health, CPU utilization, network traffic in out something. And if you want to configure alerts basically CPU utilization or something, you can just configure from this as well. You don't need to go additionally CloudWatch service and just create it. So these are the some benefits by using elastic beanstalk basically. If you just click on event, you will see all the uh, event basically activity for this beanstalk service. So you can see here the final status, like successfully launch environment, the and in the environment name. So in the production account, if you have a suppose you have a single AWS account, so you can create different environment basically, dev, test, or production. But in actual cases, there will be a different cases, like there should be a different AWS accounts for environment wise. Let's say you have a three environments, dev, test, and production. So there will be a separate AWS account basically. So each environment you need to deploy respective applications like dev, test, and production one. And in the configuration, if you want to restart this app service, you can just find this option here: restart app servers. Okay, rebuild, terminate, load configuration, save configuration. You can just if you do the practicals, you can just play around these options. There is a lots of options you can find out. If you go to configuration here in under environment, you can change any particular configuration basically from here under the configurations. If you want to change key pair or any other parameters like instance, let's say instance display size or the instance type, you can just simply go to edit and you can just modify it. If you want to add the monitoring or logging options, you can just simply click on that and you can change the whatever the value you want to change. So there is a on the left side you can see the other options as well. You can just play around that. If I just click on application name, if you want to delete this application, you can just simply go to this application and you can just simply delete it here. And if you want to create one more environments for another servers, so you can just create a new environment here from here. If you just click on this change history, you can see as of now we don't have any change history here. Okay, so this way you can just manage the server basically through the Beanstalk. As you can see, we don't need to go for particular servers and install the packages. It will automatically manage basically. Any doubts in this? Okay, so if I want to delete it application, we can just simply delete the environment first. Terminate environment, we can simply, and then we need to enter the environment name. We can just copy from here and just paste it. Yeah, it will delete after some time, and this instance will automatically delete because we have deleting environment basically. And if I just delete application as well, let's refresh it. So it will take some time but it will automatically delete. And in the activity events basically you can see terminate environment is starting, validation, finish, validation of termination protection, waiting for EC2 instance to terminate. If you go to EC2 instance and just refresh, you can see the Beanstalk server has been deleted basically. It's under the process for deletion. So this way you can just manage the beanstalk basically. Yeah, it's terminated. I just collected some real-time troubleshooting basically. I think some of them I have already discussed for the during the session. Like EC2 instance check fail sometimes. It's a very rare case basically to get the checks fail two by two. I think we have covered, right, Vasu Bhagwan, where we can find a two by two check basically. If you select the EC2 instance, there should be this one checks basically. If you just simply click on this status checks, you can find those two options: system checks and instance check. These are the check basically when you launch any EC2 instance. It will check first from the underlying hardware server and VM connectivity basically, and then inside the instance level basically, OS and the all the other stuffs, network, etc. etc. So it will both checks should be passed basically. If one of them gets failed, sometimes it's I face two three time this kind of issue in the earlier company, not the current one. So in that situation, what you can do is if you just check the, it will give something like one by two checks fail something. So in that situation, you just need to select, and either you can go with the start process. If that's resolve your issue, then fine. Otherwise, you can just do restart, reboot instance basically. These are the only two solutions for this kind of issues basically. In the backend side, what will happen, um, where the underlying hardware, where this virtual machine instance place basically, it will automatically migrate to healthy state underlying hardware basically. We don't need to take care anything on that case. During the reboot or stop and start process, if the underlying hardware is corrupted or any failure basically unhealthy, so it will automatically migrate this VM to another healthy state underlying hardware. It's a logic basically from the AWS sites. So they suggested this solution on their official documentation basically, if the two checks gets fail.
Okay. So in this case, we don't need to means this is not the configuration fault, right?
No, this is not a configuration fault. And if you just select EC2 instance, let me open it, and just go with this status check, you will see the which one failed basically. In that situation, these are the two solutions as of now they have suggested: either stop and start, or just reboot the instance. Sometimes what will happen, if your already traffic is going on with this instance, so it might take some time basically to stop or reboot something. Then as of now, you are not able to see the force stop or reboot option. But in that situation, if your instance gets stuck, it will the option will come basically, force stop or something. So you can do that, and you need to wait for some time, so it will resolve basically from the backend side. But these are the very rare case. As of now, I have seen only two three times in the earlier company, not the current one. So these are the very rare case, unless there is some underlying hardware issue. And for the EC2 instance performance level issue, you might get the performance issue, right? For the EC2 instance, it might be due to the lower configuration we have selected, like instance type basically. If our application needs higher, if our application has a more traffic, and we have selected the minimum configuration, lower basically. So in that situation, after the validation, like checking the CPU metrics, your memory and the network traffic basically, if all are the valid one, then you can just increase the your instance configuration, CPU and memory. If your instance running properly with the normal traffic basically, there is no such a huge cases. So in that case, you can just go to the your logs, sorry, application logs, and you can just check what is the going on. Or sometimes if we get the disk space related issue, let's say we have a Apache applications out there, and sometimes what will happen, unnecessary someone trying to hit your applications, and application logs basically generating, and it's consuming lots of disk space basically. So in that situation, if you configure the disk space alerts for 75%, and your disk space running out of space, so in that situation you can log into your particular servers, it's a Linux or Windows, so and check the logs, log size basically. In Linux normally we use df-h command basically, right, to check the disk space. So we can just go to that particular location where the which folder or files consuming lots of space basically. So how we can just go to that space basically, we can just simply log in the servers. Let me connect it. Okay, so if I enter in sudoers, so let's say if I run this command, visible font size.
Mm-hmm.
So normally we will see this kind of way, right, our main root directory basically. As of now, just for the example, just consider we have a total 8 GB storage. Out of that, it's consuming like 7 plus GB something. Okay, so we can just go to root directory, and we can just ls, and if you just run the do you happen sh star command, so it will automatically get the your size, folder size basically, folder or file size. So if you find out like some folders or log folder basically are consuming, you can say a similar way, right, usr folder consuming 1.3 GB, and where folder has 555 MB size basically. Let's say where folder is consuming more space basically, so we can just go to where folder, and we can just run same command again, do you happen sh. So in that case, you can just again you can just get the idea basically which in where which subfolder basically consuming more space. Okay, so let me go to the log folder, because log folder is consuming 447 MB, right. So let's enter in the log folder. So you can just check now we are in the where log. Okay, just do the ls command. We can see lots of file are there, and if you just run the same command again, and just you can just verify this way which files particular file basically consuming more size basically. You can see journal has more size. So let's go to the journal, and if you can just run again same command, we can just go to this folder. Okay, and we can see there are lots of files basically. Let's say one of the four files consuming more space, which is a log file basically. Let me go to back journal. Okay, this folder. Okay, we are in the where log journal and this folder, right, and we have a number of files. And if you run same command again, let's say just for the example, we have this these files consuming more space, log file basically. Just for the example, this was a log file and consuming around 5 GB or something. So in that situation, you can just do the tail command or cat command something, just to check the log entry basically, and you can just give the file name. So it will print some line basically, whatever the logs available in that particular file. And if you feel like it's a valid one, in that case, okay. But if you find like someone's continuous attacking or hitting your url, and you don't need this log file, right, any particular log file, so in that situation you can just terminate basically delete the log files. I can either you can go with the rm command, or there is a simple tricks like you can use this greater than symbol, and you can just give the file name. Okay? So it will automatically delete. So for testing purpose, let me show you an example. Let's find the command to generate the dummy file. Tutorialpoints.com also a good actually website to refer. They provide lots of terminals, so you don't need to launch any servers. You can use their terminals, and you can do your practicals for the Linux kind of way, right? So there is a one shortcut file basically. The tail can be used in extract way to create a file with the certain size in Linux. You can use dd command. Okay, so let's try to create one file. So as of now, if I run the same command, df-h, we can see we have a free space available 6 GB, right? And the consumption of the disk space 2 GB. So let's create one dummy file here. Okay. So I'm using this command to create one dummy file, and let's check this size now. It's create, I think, very less. Let's check the size of this file.txt, right? So it's just a 10 MB file. So we can create more than that. This can give the, you can calculate basically MB to GB. And if you can add, let's say, add GB, we want 5 GB disk space, so we can just add 5000 here. It's in KB, I think. Let me add any other value. And if you just again check the file size, it's a 512 MB, right? 512 MB. So let me create bigger than this. We don't have any such a big file now, so we are just trying to create the dummy file with the certain amount of size basically, just to show you how we can truncate with the greater than pipe symbol. So let's check again file size. Okay, it's not increase. Okay, let's wait for 1 minute. Let's try to check now. Yeah, you can see the file got 2 GB disk space now. Okay, and if I run the df-h command, you can see now. Earlier we had a 6 GB free space, right? So now you can see consumption is 4 GB and available is 4 GB, okay, out of 8 GB. So if you have this kind of situation and you want to delete these files, either you can go with the rm command, or you can just give the greater than pipe and give the file name, okay, and just press enter. And if you want to check again the disk space, you can see earlier it was 4 GB free space. Now the file got clear basically, null value, and it's a make a free space for that file, right? And if you again just check the file size for that particular file, You can see it's a 0 right now. So this way, either you can go with the rm command or this pipe basically greater than symbol. You can just truncate the file data for the safer side. And sometimes what will happen, even you delete the log file and required file basically, still you can see you might get this kind of issues basically in the real time. Still you will see the space available space is same one, like out of running space something. So in that situation you need to check the your process basically that might stuck in the process. You can use this linux command to check the process. So you need to find out the process id basically there. So let me go to the top. Yeah, you can find the process id, and if you just find here under the command, you can find those process basically. You might seen in the rm command or something which is still in the process basically, it got stuck. So in that situation you can use, you can just need to go first copy the process id basically from here, and you can use command kill command basically, kill, and you can just enter the process id. So in that case it will make a free space basically. Normally we say the word like caching or something, so similar you can take an example for that. So you can just use that process command to check the process, and you can use kill command to kill that process basically. Then it will release the disk space in that situation. So this way you can just troubleshoot for the disk space related issue. For the load balancer, I think I already explained, but let me try again explain that you. Let's say you are managing any e-commerce websites, and you might you have any event, predicted event, like tomorrow you have a event on 11 a.m., and you want to optimize your load balancer basically, load balancer capacity. Because from our side we can't change any load balancer value, like underline value basically, like increasing the server capacity or something. So there is a concept like pre-warming concept basically. So in that situation we need to write down the support ticket to the aws support team basically, and we need to give the detailed explanation, like we have a event tomorrow 11 a.m., 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. suppose, and we are expecting 1 lakh traffic or something in that situation. And just you can request in that support ticket basically, just increase the load balancer capacity. So they will, according to your use cases, traffic pattern and request basically. So and the period of the time whichever you have mentioned, right? So you can just increase, they can increase the underlying load balancer capacity from their side basically. We don't need to take care, we just need to raise the support ticket, which is called a pre-warming concept basically. And for the network connectivity issues, sometimes we might miss the adding the security port for the applications, right? Let's say if you have an application and database in our environment. So in that situation, where is that notepad? Okay, suppose we have a application here, app, and we have a database here, let's say rds. So so in this situation what will happen, application will try to connect database, right, to fetch particular data or something. Let's say we are trying to just visit this flipkart.com website, right? There might be a multi-tier application there. So just for example we can just consider this application and database. So what will happen, by default there will be no connectivity in the aws network. All network by all connectivity basically by default disable. So we need to manually enable it. How we can enable it basically, we can just take the ip address of this application server or security group of the application servers, and we need to open these rds security group. Okay, and inbound rules, just we can just go with the inbound rules, and inside inbound rules we can either add the app server ip address, okay, or security group basically. Then only app will able to connect rds service, database service basically. Otherwise it will give the error, they're not able to connect or something. And your for your note, RDS should be in private subnet, not the public subnet, for the security compliance issue. Any doubt as of now?
No.
Okay. Service quota issue, basically we might face sometime in the AWS accounts. So if we just go to, let me reduce the size. Sometimes you might not able to launch any EC2 instance or any particular things like load balancer or something, because by default AWS provides minimum value to launch it for the security perspective. Because if your account gets compromised and some spammer try to launch 100 of servers or something, then it will be a big issue, right, for us or their resources basically. So in that conditions, they are just by default when we create the AWS account, so by default they will not give you unlimited quota basically. So they will give the minimum one, basically you can launch 3 or 5 server or something. So if you just go to the service quota service, if I search quota here, let's say we are not able to launch any particular instance type or a load balancer, and we are facing the issue right now, service quota exceeded. So in that situation what we can do is we can just come to this service quota option. Okay. And we can increase raise the request to increase the quota basically. You can see here lots of services basically. Let's say you are not able to launch any lambda functions or any cloud formation template or any other stuffs like EC2 instance or something. So you can just select that services. Okay. And you can raise the request. You can see available quota, applied quota value, and AWS default quota.
This one should be how it is automatically a quota will be increased, or we have to limit the manual. We have to raise a case with the
We need to raise the
AWS
request.
team and.
We need to raise
Uh-huh.
the request. Let's say we want to raise the request for this one VPC. Okay. We need to select that, and this option will enable. And we can just how much we want, like 500 or something. So we can just enter that value and we can simply request basically. So from the within their SLA basically, 1 hour or 2 hour or something, so they will in that time period they will enable your request basically. Then you are able to launch your service. So depends upon the error message basically, for what service you can just select that service from this list, and you can just increase the raise the request basically. You can see here the services. Otherwise, or you can just type the name here, like let's say you want to raise for the EC2 instance, so you can just search, and you can just select what you want. Let's say you want AMI's capacity is already 50,000, so no issues. Let's say elastic IP address, by default you are getting exceeded issue for this one, so you can just select that and you can just raise the request. Let's say you want 500 or 100 something, so you can just enter the value and raise it this way. And as part of the monitoring stuff, sometimes we create the resources, and we not configure the alarm basically, monitoring stuffs or log monitoring in the grafana or something. So as a best practice, we need to enable this log basically. You can use CloudWatch to, and at least you should monitor your CPU utilization, memory, and the network traffic basically. So and in the CloudWatch you can integrate with, suppose in the organization you are using Slack channel or any Microsoft Teams group basically. So there will be options you will get in the Slack channel basically. You can generate create one Slack channel group there and add your respective people, like your manager, your technical person, who will expect to get the alerts basically. And that channel you can integrate with the CloudWatch. So if you just search the in the Google basically how to integrate Slack channel in the CloudWatch, you will get that steps. It's not a big one basically. You need to some authenticate basically there by using credentials. Who has admin access for the Slack channel, they can able to do that integration part. There we need to enter the credentials or something, then we are able to we receive the Slack channel alert basically. So every time we don't need to go CloudWatch console and no need to monitor. So once we get the alerts in the Slack channel, so we can just go to the that particular logs and we can just monitor the utilization, what depends upon the error code, whatever the error are there, timeout or something. And protection of the like you are in your project, we have a load balancer, RDS, or EC2 instance. So you should be enable the termination protection basically. Okay. Otherwise, if someone accidentally deleted the multiple resources, and that is the production server, so you will lose your resources basically, and it will automatic by default impact on your business. So you should enable the termination protection basically for EC2 instance, your RDS and your other stuffs. Let me quickly show you the options basically how we can enable the monitoring termination protection for EC2 instance. If you just select this option, EC2 instance, okay, from the action button in the instance setting, change termination protection. Okay, so I have already enabled, so you can see here checkbox. But if you see the checkbox like this way, so you need to just click on that and just click on save button, so it will uh, protect basically. So if someone try to just select the server and try to delete, so he should not able to terminate it basically. This is for the EC2 instance. Same way you can do for the load balancer as well. If you just go to the load balancer, but in the Terraform cases, if you are managing through the CDK, cloud formation, or Terraform, so in that stack file basically you need to mention that termination protection true value basically. So from because in the real time cases, we can't we don't need to come to the login this way, right? And we can just do manually process. So in the enterprise or real time, you should manage through the CDK code or Terraform code basically, not from the manual way. So let me show for the load balancer for just this session purpose. There is attribute options, edit load balancer attribute. Just scroll down, you can see I have already enabled. So if you find like this way it's disabled, so you can just simply enable this button, deletion protection, and you can just save changes. So if someone accidentally try to delete this load balancer, he will get the error basically, not able to delete. For the RDS, when you launch RDS or want to modify RDS, you will get that option, enable termination basically. If I just open this RDS instance, let me modify it. Okay, is in stop position for now. But if you just let's say you have running instance, so you will let me start it for now. The status should be start basically. Otherwise, it will not support to modify any value basically. Okay, it's in starting position now. Let me try to. Okay, the status should be available basically. Let me try after some time. Okay, so meantime we can see if you have RDS database in the project basically, sometimes you might your infrastructure is right correct configured basically, like instance type and the your applications. But sometimes what will happen, the person who are managing your database, right, basically DBA, if he write down some queries over there without doing indexing or proper scaling, so in that situation your RDS or database service might use lots of resources, basically CPU and memory. So in that situation you can just check the database logs if there are any uh, heavy activity going on or something. If all are correct, basically in that situation you can just enable the slow log query, and you can just check basically which query getting more consumption like CPU and memory. So in the RDS I will show you. So you can just enable that slow log query basically. So you will at least track which query consuming more process. So you can just that query you can just pass it to DBA, and you can just ask them like do proper indexing or scaling for this query basically. So right word is indexing basically. You can use that indexing or do the proper configuration for the query basically to optimize. So they will do for the query level optimization if there is no issue on the infrastructure side. Okay, in that situation. It's take too much time to start it, so let's see other options. Yeah, these one we have already discussed basically how to handle the traffic spikes or traffic pattern for the particular time period or something. So you can use their auto scaling, right? If your CPU utilization goes beyond 70% or 75%, depend upon your threshold set, so it will automatically add the number of servers basically if you use auto scaling group automatically. And if your traffic reduced and your utilization of the servers CPU utilization reduce, it will automatically delete the servers which we have whichever created additionally. So you can handle that by using auto scaling group basically. And what is the vertical and horizontal scaling basically?
For this one, RDS also we can use that horizontal scaling in the database level.
I never try basically, but you can check that option if there is. But auto scaling, normally we use multi-AG options for one write database and other read operations database basically. So vertical and horizontal scaling, basically what is the meaning of this scaling basically? So let me show you here. Vasu, can you please mute? Okay, thank you.
So
Yeah, no issues. Let's say you have this server. Okay, as of now you have this server basically 2 GB RAM and CPU. Okay, so if you are getting any performance issue, then if you increase the size of this server basically from 2 GB to hmm, if you want to increase the server configuration basically from 2 GB memory to 4 GB, or your CPU configuration, that is vertical scaling basically, increasing the capacity of the same server, right? And vertical scaling is basically, suppose you have this server with the 2 GB memory and CPU, okay, 2 core. And if you add on top of that you are using load balancer basically. Okay, load balancer. So if you are adding one more server here, one or two servers or number of servers, this is called a horizontal scaling basically. This one clear? What is the vertical scaling and horizontal scaling? I'm audible, right? Okay.
Yes.
Vertical scaling is basically increasing the same server capacity, like from 2 GB memory to 4 GB or CPU. Okay, this is vertical scaling. And horizontal scaling server is adding one server or a number of servers in the same configuration basically, behind the load balancer, which is called vertical horizontal scaling. Let's check the database status. Okay, still not available. Yeah, deployment failure in the pipeline is depend on the cases basically. Sometimes there might be a package mismatch basically, or any configuration issues. So according to that, you can just collaborate with the your developer basically, and you can fix it. So depend on the issues basically. Sometimes you might get the issue for the package related or any configuration kind of way. So according to cases basically failure, so you can just work on that. And security breaches and access issue basically. So as a best practice in the environment, so if you have a multiple team members over there, so you should not allow everyone to have your AWS account access unnecessary basically. So you should give allow only access to the right person, like DevOps engineer or architect or cloud engineer basically. So you should give the access with the proper team members, not the everyone basically. If someone get the full access, okay, and if you just try to write down any lambda functions or any code basically, and if you do any mistakes in their code, like deletion of any resources something, so he might not aware about that risk basically, and he executed that code. So in that situation, you might, it might be delete your infrastructure resources unnecessary. So to avoid this kind of issues, you need to just give the proper access to the right person basically, for the security and compliance issue. So this is for the same thing, as we have seen for the IMA policy, right? For the granting permission to IMA users or roles. So you also need to take care of this while giving the access for particular users or roles basically. Instead of giving the S3 bucket full access, EC2 full access, or administrator full access, you should give only whatever the required access basically. If someone asking, I need one S3 bucket access, get and put object. So you should give only those permissions basically. And we have already seen how we can configure the customized policy, right? So according to that, you can just give only that particular permission instead of giving the full access. And monitoring daily backups, obviously, if you schedule the daily backups for the, by using any backup service or something, or any lambda function, so at least you can just go through just no need to monitor daily basis, but at least if you just look, one look basically, the daily backup is happening or not, just for the confidence basically. So you can just have a look that daily backup process basically. And sometimes you can just try to restore, just for the testing point of view. You can just try to create one more EC2 instance. Let's say you are monitoring for the EC2 instance, you can just try to create one resource, server from that backup, and you can just check the applications is properly working or not inside that server basically. And you can just delete that temporary created servers, just for the ensuring basically the backup is working properly or not. And same thing you can do for the IDS as well. You can just launch from the backup, and you can just check that the database records tables are properly there or not. Okay. And logs monitor, you can use a log visualization tool basically, ELK or Grafana, or sometimes use company paid tool basically over there. So depends upon the tool basically, you can just monitor the logs basically. And some points we already discussed in yesterday's session for the day-to-day activities and roles and responsibility basically. Apart from this, there might be another troubleshooting cases, like if you want to migrate the database from on-prem to your AWS accounts, and you You may, in that situation, during the setups, you might get the different issues basically. Sometimes the data not migrate, or a data not matching basically. So in that way you can just do the troubleshooting. You can just use database query to check the source and target database records basically. Or you can check the by using DMS tools, database migration service, how you are migrating the database basically. This is just a one example, but you can use another example for troubleshooting point of view. So let's check the database. Yeah, it's available now. So if I just click on modify button, okay, why it's showing not started? Let me refresh the page. Yeah. So if you want to change any particular version, you can just select from here. So basically, whatever the value you want to change, you want to change your root password. Basically, you can just change it. If you want to modify the change the security group, you can just add the value basically. If you want to change database port, you can change from here. Okay. And if you want to change the backup retention period, you can just change from here. Okay. Yeah, you can in the log export you can see the multiple log basically: audit log, error log, general log, slow log query. So during the slow performance of your RDS, you can use this option. So just to make a note, you don't need to use for the longer period of time, because it's consuming lots of process, and the it might impact on your RDS basically, because it will track each and every query basically to for the troubleshooting point of view. For just troubleshooting area, like if you want to troubleshoot now the slow log query basically, which query consuming more process or CPU, so you can just temporary basis you can just enable this option, and you can just find out the root cause basically. And after your issue fix, you can just disable this slow log query. Otherwise it will generate unnecessary data basically, and it will also impact on performance or the RDS. And just how you can just yeah, there is an option to enable the protection I want to show you, right? So this one, you can just enable this box and you can just click on continue. So in this window you can see current value and new value basically. So you can just gauge the get the point basically what you are changing basically. So you can change this value, you can see here. Okay. And you will see these two options. Either you can apply this in the next maintenance window, which will happen in the October 23, means tomorrow. Okay. Or if you want to immediately apply, so you can just select this option and just modify cluster, so immediately it will impact basically the changes. So this way you can just modify the database status basically. So let me stop it. Yeah, I think these are for today. So tomorrow we will see other tomorrow, sorry, not tomorrow, next week we will see other points. I will just try to cover capture for the other one, like resume preparation, branching strategy, and some part of the how to apply jobs and all those other stuffs basically. So we'll try to, if I get the sheet ready by tomorrow or something. So on 24 Tuesday basically we have a holiday. So if I am just ready with this step plan, so we will connect 24. Any doubts for today?
No.